from Florida A&M University on the highest of 7 hills in the capital city, covering every corner of the Big Bend. This is the award-winning FAMU TV 20 News.
Good evening and welcome to News 20 at 5. I am Destiny Gaines.
And I'm Kaylee Nash. Thank you so much for tuning in. But before we jump into today's news, Antoinette Mason will join us for a recent development on the February Tallahassee healthcare cyber attack. Antoinette.
Thank you. Nearly 2 months after the IT attack on Tallahassee Memorial Hospital, the hospital announces the hacker obtained the personal information of thousands of patients. On Friday, TMH announced they have been mailing letters to patients whose confidential information was compromised. According to a statement given by the hospital, personal data that may have been leaked includes social security numbers, addresses, and dates of birth. Back to you ladies at the desk.
Last Thursday, a body was found on April Road between Appalachia Parkway and Old St. Augustine Road. Leon County Sheriff's Office has identified the deceased as 30-year-old Kenny Germain. The cause of death hasn't been released, but the death is still being considered suspicious. Anyone with information regarding this case should call Detective Josh Turner in Violent Crimes at 850-606-3300 or to remain anonymous, call Crime Stoppers at 850-574-TIPS. Leon County commissioners recently discussed several pressing issues in the community, including, but certainly not limited to, decriminalization of marijuana. Multimedia journalist Aaliyah Everett has the story.
Citizens and officials gathered in the county courthouse to express their concerns on the hot topic regarding the decriminalization of the amount of marijuana in Leon County. Commissioner Carolyn Cummings says it's time to discuss this matter.
Whether or not we as a county commission can entertain an ordinance or pass anything that would effectuate that is a big question.
Possession of 20 grams or less of marijuana is a misdemeanor offense and is punishable by up to 1 year in jail and a maximum fine of $1,000 in the state of Florida. Briana Michel believes county officials are doing their part, but feels that the state could do better.
The legalization of marijuana is becoming more of a national thing. In the United States, at least, it's becoming so common. So more and more people are having possession of marijuana, even if it's for medicinal reasons or recreational reasons.
Marijuana is the most commonly used illegal drug in the United States. And although 21 states have legalized the drug for non-medical use, Florida has yet to do so. The board discussed that it is the state's responsibility to decriminalize possession of small amounts of marijuana and not the county. The board voted 4-3 to accept the report on alternative to incarceration for the possession of small amounts of marijuana and to take no further action. The county commission voted against the decriminalization of marijuana, not only because it violates federal and state law, but also due to concerns that citizens will mistake the commission's actions for legalization of the Schedule I drug here in Leon County. Reporting for News 20 at 5, I am Aaliyah Everett.
The next Board of County Commissioners meeting will be Tuesday, April 11th at 3:00 p.m. with a public hearing following a meeting at 6 p.m.
2 students were arrested Thursday at Madison County High School after allegedly carrying handguns on school property. According to Madison County Sheriff's Office press release, a 17-year-old student was detained and charged with multiple charges, including brandishing a handgun in a restroom. Another 17-year-old was found in possession of a pistol-type BB gun and was also charged but not detained. Just last week, student groups continued the protest against supporting House Bill 999 while the Florida Governor's Board meeting was in action. Students made their voices heard outside of the meeting facility. Our very own Destiny Gaines has more.
Local student groups came together on Florida A&M's campus to protest against House Bill 999. And just a few feet away was the annual Florida Governor's Board meeting. As protesters shout, House Bill 999, Ron DeSantis has lost his mind. Protest coordinator Devin Wilfrod addresses the importance to continue to fight against this bill.
Because they don't understand our culture. They're not part of our culture. And to us, or excuse me, to them, frankly, our culture is something that they can just throw away. And they can just, treat as whatever they want and however they want because they don't value our culture like we value our culture.
The annual committee meeting was open to everyone, waving the green flag to allow students to silently protest with their fists held in the air. Student Government Association President Zachary Bell says moments like this is why it's so important to hit those polls during election years. quoting that students have to do better when addressing the voting poll rates from last election year. Bell proceeds with the details of the political positions to help support. Bell also encourages students not to protest for a trend, but a difference, as students are seeking for change. Since mid-March, students across the state of Florida have advocated their opposition to House Bill 999. No amendments of this bill have been adopted, and its next stop is the Higher Education Appropriations Subcommittee. As for the students of Florida A&M University, this is just the beginning for the fight in opposition of House Bill 999. Students are strongly encouraged to attend the annual FAMU Day at the Capitol, which is taking place on April 13. But for now, this is News 20 at 5. Destiny Gaines, back to you.
We'll keep you all updated on the debate of House Bill 999 and provide more coverage of the upcoming FAMU's Day at the Capitol.
Coming up on News 20 at 5, find out what fast-tracking proposals will soon land on Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' desk. Also, a return to pre-pandemic Medicaid eligibility means benefit rollbacks have officially begun around the country. Stay tuned. You're watching News 20 at 5. Welcome back to News 20 at 5. I am Destiny Gaines. Our own Bayla Walker will now join us in the multimedia newsroom with today's Legislative Minute.
The Florida Senate voted on a bill that would allow citizens to carry a concealed weapon without a government-issued permit. And today, Governor Ron DeSantis signed that bill into law. It will go into effect July 1st. Aside from no longer requiring a license permit, the legislation will also end an existing state requirement for citizens to undergo training. The background check in the applicant process is also no longer required. Now back to you at the desk.
Thank you, Bayla. In more legislative news, after urgency from Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, lawmakers have pushed for changes to death penalty rules, and changes are quickly coming. Our multimedia journalist Malik Burgess tells us more.
Senate Bill 450 passed through the Florida Senate last week. Florida is now very close to allowing death sentences by an 8-4 vote of a jury, instead of the current requirement that the vote be unanimous. If passed, judges will still have discretion to sentence defendants to life in prison after receiving jury recommendations of death sentences.
I think this would absolutely not serve as a deterrent. I think we've seen that in other states. I think if most of us ask ourselves the question, why do we commit crime or not commit crime, it's not because of the death penalty.
The bill, and much of the debate surrounding it, focused on the sentencing of the gunman who killed 17 people, including 14 students at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland in 2018. Jurors in the case voted 9-3 to recommend the death penalty, but the shooter was instead sentenced to life in prison.
Crazy, obscene crimes, which of course we need to deal with, and we need to deal with justly. We need law and order, that is without a doubt, but this is just not the way to get there.
The House version of the bill, House Bill 555, has now passed through 3 committees in the House, including the Judiciary Committee.
Now, if passed, Florida would be one of only 2 states that impose the death on people without the need of a unanimous jury, and the only state that imposes the death penalty on people with as few as 8 jurors. With FAMU TV 20, I'm Malik Burgess.
Currently, Florida's death penalty statute allows judges to override death sentences and give life terms. To stay updated with the Senate Bill 450, visit floridasenate.gov. The Senate Rural Committee unanimously voted for the advance of Senate Bill 164. As fentanyl cases continue to rise, officials are making an effort to what can be described as harm reduction and evidence-based public approach widely accepted by the medical community for dealing with the opioid crisis, according to Senator Tina Polsky. The Senate announced that the use of testing strips will be used to detect any form of the drug in pills, powder, and injections.
It has been a week since the fatal shooting took place in Nashville, Tennessee, leaving 6 dead. An anti-gun violence group marched through the city of Tallahassee this morning as they held a rally at the Tennessee Capitol demanding stronger gun laws. A federal judge has since then cleared a ruling in Tennessee to drop the minimum age for Tennesseans to carry permitless handguns to 18. Tennessee Governor Bill Lee made a statement late Tuesday stating that Tennessee will take action to prevent this shooting from happening again.